All right, well, welcome back, everybody. I recently just released what wound up being one of my most controversial videos ever. I was a bit surprised. I knew I was going to get some feedback on what I'm doing to my equipment, but not the way that it did. It wound up being the most views I've ever gotten in 24 hours, the most thumbs down, and probably the most comments, and they're still rolling in day after day. Although I will say the majority of the comments were constructive criticism. People want me to protect my equipment. So I have listened. I've listened a lot, and I'll be honest with you, I read so many comments to the point that I got very confused on how I wanted to move forward with speeding up my splitter cycle time. So if you're just now catching this video and didn't get to watch the last one, I'm going to show you exactly what I've done, why I done it, and why I'm going to remove it and going to go after a different option. So let me fire this splitter up and warm it up here for a second, and I'll show you that this bar, this piece of metal that I put in right here, shortened my stroke up, shortened my split length up, so it sped my cycle time up. I no longer have to wait on this splitting head to retract all the way back into the cylinder and come back out. I'll also try to remember to include that last video of me doing this at the end of this one if you want to watch and see the difference. And I'll show you exactly what I'm accomplishing right now with this bar, how it kicks this splitter out again here and not going all the way in. All right, so as you can see, when this splitting wedge hits this, it's actually kicking out the little indent that's holding this in. So the big concern with everybody, and one of mine that I expressed in that last video, was this pivot point right here. This is eventually going to wear out the hole that's going through the cylinder shaft, and that could be a costly repair. There's also some pivot to this since the bar's up so high, and it's actually pushing pressure up underneath the beam here. So a lot of concerns from viewers. Y'all had a tremendous amount of ideas, from putting bars on the side, spreading out the pressure, changing pressure settings on the detent, putting collars on the shaft. I mean, a ton of ideas, y'all really did. However, every time I thought I was gonna mess with one of those ideas, somebody would come along and show me either a video of somebody having collars slip on the shaft and busting this off, or talking about not messing the pressure relief valve on there because there's only one, and changing the detent pressure setting may change the splitter pressure setting, etc. It got to the point where I got so scatterbrained, I said the heck with it. So today I am going to try to figure out how to make a return mechanism, so whenever this bumps it, it will actually kick the handle out. So there's no pressure, no pivot points, no nothing. I think I have bought enough stuff from my local hardware store that I can rig something up here. I've got a welder, I've got the tools, but that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do no pressure, no hunks of steel, no nothing. We're simply going to have something kick the handle out. That's the safest thing that I can think of to protect my equipment and eliminate these pivot points and wearing things out early. So I'm going to look around for a few minutes. I may alter the design that I have in mind. We're going to see what we can come up with. All right, so all I did was cut a piece of rebar here. I've got a steep angle on one side where I'm gonna take a piece of pipe, actually weld to it to make a pivot point. And the bottom, I'm just gonna weld right to here. It should not be in the way, even if I were to ever let this fully retract. But what I'm trying to do is weld that pipe on and something pretty rigid to the frame right here to, like I said, make a pretty good pivot point. I think this will work for what I'm trying to accomplish right here. I need to grind some paint off so I can get ready to weld that up. Alright, so I didn't have the camera rolling, but all I did was just tack that piece of pipe onto this piece of rebar. All right, this seems to work well, but I already see a problem. So when I push that back, it locks. And say if the splitter head was coming back, I've got this adjusted, by the way, to just touch this. If it were to come back another fraction of an inch, I'm barely gonna push on this, it kicks the handle right out. Problem is, this can now pivot all the way over here out of the way, or all the way to this side out of the way if this was forward. So then that would allow this to run all the way back and bind my bolt up. So a quick little fix that I can think of is take a spring, put around this. I'm gonna shoot a screw in down here that I can hook this on, because I want to make this removable. And that should put just enough tension on this to probably keep it pulled over like that. But however, whenever I push back on the handle, it automatically centers it up. So let's see if I can make that work out. I don't know about y'all, but I call that an absolute success. I am very pleased with that. I'll just have to watch it as as time goes on. I am curious if eventually, after hundreds and hundreds of strokes, if this shaft could bend. But now that I got spring tension on it, I don't know that it will. I could always just add one more piece of rebar, weld it to it, really strengthen it up. Everything else I think is going to work just fine. As long as this spring doesn't pop off, and this kick over and it retracts and bends it all up. That's the only concern that I have, but that's a heavy duty spring. I have a pretty decent sized screw in with a big lip so the spring shouldn't pop off. That's the only thing to really watch. Now here's the cool part about this design. Right now I have it set up to where it's exactly where it was before, 17 3/4 inch. That way if I have 16 and a half inch pieces of wood, I can drop it right in there, it's ready to go. But I designed this specifically to be adjustable. All I have to do is loosen these two nuts and I can screw this all thread all the way back in and change my length of opening. So if I want to go up to 18 inch pieces of wood, which I'm really considering doing it, all I gotta do is screw this in another 1.5 to 2 inches and it'll open this up. The trigger mechanism works the same way. Now there's also one more thing that I've done to make this really, really easy and convenient. Let me show you. All right, so say for some reason I want to split big 24 inch pieces of wood, or I want to throw 1 or 2 big pieces in. Instead of adjusting this bolt all the way out, I tried to make this thing where it's easily removable. Literally just pop the spring off. This comes up out of a pivot point. It's completely out of your way. This thing is ready to go now. So you can run it just like normal. This piece that's welded on is absolutely not in the way, will not affect nothing. Now the splitter's back to normal that quick in a matter of a couple seconds. All right, now it's just as simple to put back on. Just slide it back down to that pivot point, put some spring tension back on it, and it's back to normal operation. I think I'm gonna really enjoy this. All right, I'm just gonna split some pieces real quick. No, I'm not even set up for a rack, a tote, nothing. Demonstration purposes only. And then behind me back there, we're gonna crank up the saw for the next video, do a bunch of big cutting, and we'll really put this splitter to work. But right now, I'm just gonna throw a few splits over that way as I split them, and let's test this out. All right. Well, I don't mean to brag, but I'm dang proud of this design. It's ugly, no doubt, doesn't look factory or professional, but I think it's gonna get the job done. I love how quick and easy I can take it off. As you just seen, I had a piece that was just a little too long, literally 2 seconds. It's off the machine, I can split the piece. It's right back on in 2 more seconds. That's something that was very important to me, to build something that would be quick. I have noticed a couple times whenever I push back, sometimes the handle will come forward like that. I either got a little bit too much spring tension, or the easiest fix to that, this all thread right here, I'll just bend it back maybe 1/4 of an inch, so it's putting slightly less pressure on this handle right here. That, or I can stretch the spring out, but it only did that a couple of times. That's just a couple of little bugs to work out, but it works, and it works really well. I'm very, very happy with that design. So now that I think it's going to work, I'll take it back off a little bit later, paint everything up to try to stop some rust, and we'll really give it a workout, really test it. Like I said, I'll make a few minor tweaks to spring tension, a couple other things, just to kind of get it where I want. Now, this was not a how-to video. I don't make those. Our channel is strictly about showing y'all what we're doing around our place right here. So if this is a design you want to try, I think it's extremely safe. It doesn't create new pinch points like the bar did. It doesn't put any pressure on the machine, none whatsoever. It's operating a handle that's already designed to operate it. Now, yes, it does kind of require a welder unless you can figure out how to bolt that one piece on. Other than that, I have a $4 piece of all thread here, a couple nuts, a spring that I already had laying around, and a piece of scrap rebar. I mean, I have literally $5 in this design, so very happy with it. Not much time to make it, and I love that it's fully adjustable too. So like I said, if I change my mind in the future and want to go to a longer firewood length, it's as simple as loosening 2 bolts, screwing this all thread through a little more, tightening the bolts back down, measuring my distance, and I can go to town. So really, really happy with it. I'm sure, as often is the case, I'll still wind up getting some criticism. Hey, so goes life, and putting your life out there on the internet. But hopefully y'all find this design a whole lot more fitting to the machine versus the pressure that I was putting before. And I 100% agreed with y'all. Luckily I didn't run it long like that, but eventually I was going to wear out the shaft, break a bolt, cause some extra stress on the machine that wasn't necessary. This design completely eliminates all that. And I appreciate all the suggestions that y'all gave me. Sorry I didn't really go with them. Once I got this design stuck in my head, I was dead set that I had to do it. So thank y'all so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you on the next video.